Okay, so this is part 2 of our trial that we just finished yesterday. And we're going to now move on to our wonderful
eyewitness experts, Jane Raymond and Barbara Stone. So both of them are former employees of the state, and they worked in the welfare system. They worked, in dependency cases. They'd done a lot of work.
Well, Barbara, for her entire career, at one point, she was a director.
Yeah. So Barbara did licensing. And so part of the aspect of licensing was to get Barbara to talk about what did they actually do when they licensed. And she was retiring, and she did not want to work on the case. And I could not, for the life of me, get her to work on a case. And I was
Wait,
like...
can I pause here just for a second?
Yeah.
So she says no. And I'm like, we got to have her. We got to have her. You got to... He's like, okay, let me work on this. And I just want to stop and pause here because this is our dynamic, right?
Yeah.
We don't take no for an answer.
That's right.
And we're going to go throw ourselves against the wall.
Yes.
But we're not going to do it belligerently. We're like, okay, how can I do this? What's going to work? And I'm like, this is terrible. But this is the truth. Should I tell the truth?
Yeah, tell the truth.
I said, you got to go tell her that you were also abused as a child.
Yeah, I mean, I told her that. I didn't tell her that to manipulate her at all.
Well,
I did not, because she was not manipulated.
She was not manipulated.
She was not manipulated.
But
She was very clear.
We wanted her to understand that this came from a very good place.
Well, let me talk about the conversation I had with her.
Well, you were noble. I just want to say I was not noble, but you were noble.
Yeah. Well, because she gets a lot of calls from a lot of lawyers asking for help. And she does not know who the lawyers are and what the nature of the case is.
Right.
And so what I explained to her was that, look, this is not right. This guy was convicted in 1981 of abusing them, and we have no records because they destroyed the records, and we really need somebody to help us understand what you would have done back then. And she was asking, well, what's your involvement in the case? And part of it was like, yeah, there is a personal connection to the case because of what I experienced as a child. And I sent her a book of my poems that I, wrote in when I was in New York City.
You can't stop laughing.
And she loved the poem. And she loved the poems because it was a great chapbook that I'd written about life and growing up, and about memories and about regrets and hope. And
imagine this, Mo. How many cases she's worked on in her career, where the child who was abused did not have your outcome. I would imagine you are in the top 1%. And that hearing from someone like you, which is why I wanted you to talk to her and tell her, must have given her a sense of hope.
Yeah. She was not only hopeful, she said was, I'm not going to testify, but I will provide you with a declaration and about my thoughts. Mm-hmm. And the declaration was incredibly helpful, but she didn't even charge us.
But you touched her heart.
Yeah.
And that was our secret weapon.
Our
secret weapon, folks, if you want to know how to do it like Koehler and Mo, is to touch the heart.
Yeah.
Because she was moved by Mo. She felt connected to him that's her whole dedication of life, is to helping people that were abused within the system.
Yeah.
And here is this child grown into a man-child, who...
Man-child.
A man-child who connects with her really on a very profound, intimate level.
Yeah.
And she was willing to do that with you on the cusp of leaving this whole practice area.
Yeah. On the cusp of leaving it. And you could tell she was exhausted.
Yeah.
Just a career that exhausted her. And the second person...
Wait.
Yeah.
So we just stick with Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara, yeah.
So as we know from the last issue, they tried to subpoena her, and we're like, sorry, Barbara. They're trying to do it. We want to call you instead. And she shows up in court on that big screen with her big glasses and just looking like you would want her to be your caseworker. And she comes in with you, and what happens?
She just knocks it out of the park.
She's on Zoom, by the way.
She's on Zoom. She knocks it out of the park. She provides really compelling testimony about these manuals that we are talking about.
Well, he starts it off by saying You've never seen a single document on this case.
Yeah.
You don't even really know the names of the people involved. You have not been hired by us to testify. You are here as a fact witness. That is compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. She provided the groundwork for the standard of care of what was supposed to happen to license this guy.
He didn't show a single exhibit.
I didn't show her a single exhibit.
And then tell him about the cross.
The cross was...
You got to do it. You got to do it just like it happened. And it better involve a lot of sarcasm.
Yeah.
Let's see that. Let's wait.
Yeah.
This is a build-up moment.
Yeah.
Remember, they think I'm the actor, and he's not the actor. He went to acting school and has actually been an actor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
You're Karen.
You actually refused to work for the plaintiffs, didn't you? Yeah. Because I'm retiring. I'm done with these cases.
I was like, that was the cross.
I was like, what? Yeah, the point there was like, there was something about the case that made her not want to work on the case, but then she showed up anyways and told what we needed her to say.
Yeah. It was so dumb.
It was so...
There was a lot of low moments.
Isn't that, I mean...
That's
got to be horrible for them, because I feel like they were going like, see, you thought it was so bad that you wouldn't even take it.
And she just was like,
she's like, no, you're wrong.
We actually like these lawyers because they were not can I say assholes?
Jerks.
They were not jerks.
No.
They were polite.
Yeah.
However, their cross-exam on a whole
Yeah.
was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and
From
so
a non-lawyer.
it wasn't even.
It was embarrassing.
There was not even that many questions really asked, and the jury asked some thoughtful questions about the times, about like what really was going on, and we got what we needed from her. We got important aspects of what we needed from her, and the second thing was then the second person.
Okay, so I want to shortcut it on the second person.
Yeah.
So it's Jane Raymond. Same vintage. About 3 years younger. She's not going to be around forever, folks. Incredibly impressive. Got everything from us, was paid by us. Mo took her agonizingly, which I do not want him to recount here, through the manual G's, which, as we know, turns out to be a very important part. But I do want to forward fast you to the end.
What was it?
When you were freaking giving the 15-minute long questions and pounding the podium like you were a gospel orator in church.
I know.
You got to tell them.
Okay. So like, the rule, just very quickly, the rules require you to provide notice of the opinions the expert's going to provide. Jane provided 3 real opinions, 2 tops, which she provided, 3 a little bit vague, and I just was like, I'm going to go for the gold, and I'm going to draw out another 10 to 15 opinions from her and see if they object. And so the way I set it up was that Karen had done the direct of the foster parent's wife, the husband's wife, the day before, and she laid some really good testimony about their total failure after the kids were, if they found out that the abuse had happened, they went to the home, and a social worker told the spouse, I suspected something was going on, and what they didn't do afterwards. So I'd taken notes about that testimony and thought about, like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay those facts in front of Jane Raymond and then ask her opinions about it. And so the way I did it, I was like, so the jury's heard testimony, and then I went through literally the entire testimony of the woman. And then I started to ask questions. What's your opinion there? Did they breach the standard of care there? Did they breach the standard? And they were not objecting. I heard them whispering about...
He was yelling, too, and over the top of the podium, he was just, like, so aggressive and rage-filled. And the jury was like, let him do it. They're just watching this. Like, this trial was high theater the whole way through it.
But it was the permission to get angry about what had happened.
They should have objected. That was the most... First of all, she's his witness. I wrote down to Darcy and sent it to her. I said, he's leading her through the nose and they are not objecting. She's like, yes, But she then started getting into it. And when they went up there to cross-examine her, She was not having any of it and went at them.
No, and I thought she did exceptionally well. She would
So
answer their question and say, "But I got to explain to you."
Oh my God.
Over and
They're
over
so
again.
good.
It was really good.
So
I mean,
good.
that's the nuts
Well, and
and
that's what
bolts.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it really worked for you guys because with the lack of evidence that you had, all you had were these policies, and then
Yeah.
you've got these people who were there,
Yes.
who were enacting the policies,
Yeah.
and who knew them back and forth, and that's the evidence that the jury was looking at.
Yeah.
You know.
I kept seeing him looking at the state had this person, Arneson, who showed up every single day, and she was the first witness, and it wasn't great. Like Mo just let her talk a lot, and he was saying, and she'd say, "Well, can I add something else?" And he'd say, "Yes." Like I would never allow that. He was so nice and kind. So we started off like in a hole, in my opinion, and that turned out to be great because the only place we had to go was up, and these two people just basically leveled the state. So the state had testified, and then we had also two more people we were going to call from the state. She kept saying, "Well, someone else is going to talk about this," but she answered all the questions, thinking she was doing such a great job. She volunteered all the stuff, and then these two experts come in and just say, "Yeah, none of that's correct." And then we decide we're not going to call those other two witnesses anyway, and the state doesn't end up calling anybody. We can get to that point, but those experts and the liability case was.
Can I say, did I predict that they would not put on a defense?
You did.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
Like,
I
how could they
predicted
not?
that they wouldn't put on any more witnesses. And so when I went with we led with their first witness. Well, by the way, I predicted they wouldn't put on a defense. She selected the order of witnesses. I didn't.
Yeah.
She said, let's call their witness first.
I wanted it.
And so I let her explain everything, okay? Because I knew that these two were going to come in and annihilate her testimony.
Just let her say whatever she wanted.
And
And here's the deal.
Yeah.
You can, once you lose your momentum, you cannot get it. So if you start off with your best witnesses and then the state goes and you lose your momentum, you're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
Not normally. Now it's possible, but it's different when you start off at the bottom and then you're building momentum. That we never lost our momentum.
yeah.
After that, and we never really had it to lose after. The first one sets the stage. She was horrible for us and horrible for them in the end.
Because she was going to stay there the whole day. But I think that the gamble paid off because I did not think...
It was not a gamble. It was a calculated...
It was a calculated decision, but I call it... There was what I predicted was like, after these two testify, there is no way they're going to put her back up.
Which they weren't.
Okay? And I said, I know the other two. There is no way that they could match credentials to these two. So for them to put the other two up would be a huge gamble for them.
And none of them had been there back then.
No.
Yeah.
So that was the strategic judgment.
All right, let's cover one more witness, and then we'll do one more episode on closing. Let's cover the psych.
You handled that.
So the psych was retained by Mo, and he'd worked with them when he was a public defender. The psych had really never worked on any civil abuse cases like this, and he was known for doing evaluations primarily of the sex offenders.
Yeah.
So Mo handled him for the first year. I never even talked to him, and then I was going to do damages. I took over. I talked to him like twice before trial. We did trial. And, oh my God, he was one of the best ever. He was so good. He mumbled a little bit, but it just made you want to hear more. He was like your trusted uncle.
Yes.
The way he talked. He was so clear. He was so good. He brought it so much to life. He was so authoritative, without being, book-headed, because he's not that kind of a person, and he's a humble guy who lives on
Squim. Yeah.
Lives in Squim. So Nathan gets up to cross him. This was actually the single worst cross. I don't know that he could not recover after his cross of this guy, because he and I just lay it down there. One of the issues is he recognizes institutional betrayal, which is basically a trauma exacerbator. It's not in the DSM-4. So Nathan comes up there with 6 pages of typewritten cross and starts going through it. I am not going to bore you with the boring part because it was terrible. This expert who looked like, I said, your laid-back Pacific Northwest uncle from Squim, who was probably wearing Dockers and, you know, tennis shoes like we were always wearing, not only handled everything, he could give them the sites. He told them the names of the professors. And I mean, he just did it. He never looked at his whole entire file the whole time he testified.
He was great.
He just knew the case. So Nathan's getting ready for his big, huge, giant, you know, moment with the guy. Do you remember what he said? I mean, I'll never forget it.
The distinction between...
Just go ahead and do it. No, you're going to do it. You got to do it with the acting abilities that we all know that what you have.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it with Nathan's tone. And then you're going to do it with Dr. Manley's answer. Can you do that?
I don't know if I remember exactly his answer.
But you remember pretty much.
I remember the question.
Okay, do the question. You have to be in character and do it.
Yeah. Dr. Manley, you admit that Mr. McFarland was subjected only to fellatio, whereas Mr. Hochhalter was sodomized, and that fellatio is not as bad as sodomy.
Pretty much. He didn't use those actual words, but he said those.
That is what he said.
He asked them basically to rate the level of...
Yeah, which one's worse, essentially?
And
that if you were abused in one way...
You could hear a pin drop in the courtroom. We were horrified. I was like,
question.
Did he just ask that question? And you know that the jury's going to get an instruction saying for child sex abuse, sexual intercourse is any orifice, any penetration, no matter how slight. That is considered sexual intercourse. So he asks that question. Now, I would like you to be Dr. Manley, who's so quiet and sedate and professional and uncly in a Squim way.
He says, basically, he looks at him and he says, sexual trauma of any kind. Childhood sexual trauma of any kind is damaging.
No, he said, the most heinous thing that can happen to a human being.
Yeah.
And he said it, he said heinous, and he was like, he wasn't out of his chair, but he was so upset.
He was upset.
This, like, are you kidding me, you fool? He didn't say those words, but he was like, if his emotions could speak, he would have said, I'll do this part. Okay. Are you kidding me, you dumb fool? How could you ask me such a stupid question in a court of law before all these jurors? What the heck is wrong with you? I'll answer your question. Childhood sexual abuse is the most heinous thing that can happen to a human being.
It's terrible. It was a terrible question. It was a horrible question.
Yeah, do you think that they pretty much lost it right there?
I think they lost on the question of like damages. Like they weren't like I don't know what the hell he was thinking, honestly. I have no idea what the hell he was thinking. He wasn't thinking.
It was the low moment for him.
It was terrible.
And in fact, I diary after every day, and I wrote down, and I do believe this is true, as soon as he said it, I think he wished he hadn't.
Oh, I'm sure he
I
did.
think when he's articulate, so now everything was written down. They were not going to ask anything that they hadn't asked in a deposition. It was all written down. And any time they went off script, there was a problem. They should have stuck to their boring scripts. He went off script on that one and asked a question, and you could just tell, like, oh, I shouldn't have asked that question. And he just got leveled with that question, with the answer. Leveled. And of course, then I get up and he's grabbing me. He's like, don't get up. Just let it, don't say another word.
Yeah.
Don't say another word.
Yeah.
And I did. I got up there and I said, because he was insinuating that this stuff wasn't in the DSM, therefore it wasn't. And I said, hasn't child sex abuse and the effects of it been known since the beginning of time, and
Yeah.
he just went off.
Went off and just
It made it even more. It was like a double
double whammy.
to their throat.
Yeah.
Well, that's been my thing about this whole thing. I didn't have to hear it from an expert. I know that I mean, anybody that's had anything happen to them when they're a child, don't even make it sex abuse. I remember my horrible things from my childhood
Your trauma.
to this day.
Because it's built in your
It
body.
never goes away.
It's inside of you. It's part of you. It's part of your DNA.
Yeah.
And I mean, you may be able to talk about it. You may be able to limit it somehow, but it's always going to be there. It's always going to affect you. And this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and to have the gall to try to pull the Bill Clinton on it is the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
It was
my
so
God.
bad, Mike. There's two other things, on this topic of it's in your body. Both of them described that to this day, if they hear the sound of a creaking stair, because that guy would go down that stair,
Yeah.
Yep.
the
There you go.
creaking stair, it's just they are back there,
Yeah.
instantly back there.
Back there.
Well, and you said the one where he was in the church and you saw the guy put the arm around the young child
Yeah.
and thought that guy must be a molester. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. That
It fundamentally changes.
changes you in a deep way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Horrible.
All right.
Let's end it there.